Alright, today we're going to build a custom RLCS scoreboard from scratch in Rocket League Broadcast Studio. We're going to use an example scoreboard as our point of reference, and we're going to try to build this whole thing out in this UI. First thing we're looking at here is the builder mode of the Rocket League Broadcast Studio. You'll see three different modes up top. These are your main sections. You have a studio where you can see a finished product. You have a builder, which you can edit individual modules, and an events panel where you can set up custom events and animations. But today we're focused on the builder. So in the builder mode, you have a canvas. There's a lot of functionality that is meant for easy customization, so it'll feel much like if you're used to using a tool like Photoshop or other UI tools. You can drag and highlight, hit delete, clear out. Now we have a blank canvas. I can then stretch the canvas. This is just going to be my working area to start. Put this up, give me some room to work with. And then first thing I'm going to do is add in this scoreboard so we can have a reference to look at. So I'm going to come down, I'm going to add an element, I'm going to add an image element here. Here's the image element. You'll see it's on the canvas and it's in the layers here, and the layer is currently unlocked. You can lock this layer and then you can't move this. I'll unlock it. And then over here you have an individual element settings. So in this custom element, we have an image URL. We're going to upload an image. We're going to go and grab the scoreboard and add it, and we'll scale this out so it's bigger, so we just have a reference point. Alright, so we'll just leave this up top, and we're going to lock this down because we don't need to use it. So a few things here when I look at this and how I want to do this, I'm kind of thinking in layers, right, because everything here is a different layer. So I'm going to start with background layer, which is like this curved black background, which covers up most of the contents of the scoreboard. So for that, I'm just adding a shape, right? I'm taking a shape, click shape and add, and I have a shape here. Cool thing about this is you can like copy certain colors and things just with our color pickers. There's lots of options for shape backgrounds and things. So it looks like we just have a solid black semi-transparent shape with rounded corners, and that's what I'm going to make. So take this shape, the fill we already see is a solid fill. Your other options here are gradient or an image background. For this, we'll get into those later, but this we just need fill. I can use the color picker. I can go directly here, and I have my color. I mean, this is already transparent, so really this color starts out as black, let's be fair. And now we have a black box. But we know the black box is semi-transparent, so I might drop the alpha of that box a little bit, and you can start seeing how you can see through it a little bit, right? That's the alpha channel. We also know the corner style is rounded. There are other corner options, but for this is a rounded corner. So with the rounded corner, I'm going to go down to the radius section. And it looks like they're all the same, so I can just use a universal radius for this. If you wanted, you can do custom radius for the corner of the shape. Top left, top right, bottom left. So for this, we will do let's just set this to like 20. That's a little much. Let's go 10. That'll be a good starting point. So we have a box here, and increase the fill a little bit here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start laying this out. Stretch this across, and that'll just be our background. We can always go back in and adjust things. Now what I want to do to keep things organized, you'll see over here I have like a shape and an image. It's nondescript. But if I go back into this custom element panel on the right, a layer name, I'm going to call this just like scoreboard black background, right? And now we have this over here. You can see, keep it there. Alright, next thing we're going to do is we can, I guess, start from the top down. We have a title of the entire series. So a title is a dynamic element, right? This is part of the series when you set it up on the left-hand side. And you'll see up top, we already have a series title, Superbot Rocket League Finals. You can change this to whatever you want. This is my custom tournament, and we'll adjust this. Now, if I want to get that element in here, I don't want to like type that text because we want to have a module that is dynamic. Different series, different tournaments. You don't have to go in and change this manually every time. So what I'm doing is I'm going in and dropping a dynamic element. So here you'll see this is the series. It's the type of element. And I want to drop in the series title. Boom. Series title. And then I want to add the element. Now we have this element here. So I can kind of like start arranging it. What you want to do is the blue box around this element is basically the amount of space this element can take in your module. So I'm going to highlight it across because ideally this could, depending on the size of the title, go all the way across, right? So I'm going to take up the full space. It's getting a little dark here sometimes with black backgrounds on the grid, so I can just add a backdrop here and it helps me see things easier. Alright, now we're always going to want, even though this is our full space, we're going to want this element centered, always. So I can change the justification here, even though we know how big the area can take up. When it's in the area, we want it to be centered, right? And obviously we don't want the font size that large. We're going to tone this down. And now we can kind of adjust our like working space a little bit. We can keep it like that to start. We can always adjust this later. But there's our font. The font size is a little thick. It's, you know, thick font. Change the letter spacing. Change the font family to one of these Google fonts that are free to use. Your choice on what you want to use. Let's go with this one for now, I guess. And now we have a title bar. Okay. Also, again, remember, change your layer name. So you'll see over here it says series title. You don't need to change. Actually, you don't need to change these, right? The dynamic elements have a title. They'll be easy to find in the layers panel later if you need it, right? So let's leave that there. The next thing we want to do is kind of get some of these other shapes that are going on in here, right? You can do this in a different way, and you can just customize it however you want to do it. You do not have to follow this pattern. But when I look at these, I'm looking at like different rectangles and shapes and stuff like that. So I'm going to add a new shape in here. And first I like to just go in and get my colors right. So back to the fill, highlight, bam, there's our color. Start dragging this down to approximately where this would like land here. Goes kind of towards the end, I'd say. You can use the arrow keys to move fine 1 pixels over, right, left and right. And then you could resize from there. We're going to leave a little space at the bottom for our series info. And we're going to drag this kind of like to where there's space in the middle for the clock. Now, I like this size. I like this shape. I'm going to have the same exact thing on the other side, just a different color. So what I'm going to do here is I can do a number of things. I want to duplicate this. There's a full right-click menu for this builder mode, which will help you out a lot. Depends if you like short keys or right-clicks. It's up to you completely. Here, we're going to duplicate this module. And I'm just going to move it over to the edge. I do apologize. Alright, so I'm going to put it over here. Now, I just want a different color for this one. So, I've duplicated the module element, and I'm going to pick color. Boom, I got 2 colors. Now we're starting to see a little bit, right, of where we're going here. Again, this is names, so I'm going to call this blue team background, and this is orange team background. Cool. The background behind the names is a gradient color. So what I want to do is I want to add another rectangle with a gradient in there. Now I could add a new shape, or I can just duplicate what's already there, Control D this time, line it up, put it back in, and then change the size directly. So move it over, leave some space, and now we have approximately what it looks like up there. But obviously this is different. There's a gradient background, so we get to explore a new background style here. So I'm going to change the background to gradient, and we have our starting and stopping colors. This starts with a black, it looks like, right? And then it ends at the team color. So, right, we'll just pick this color again. And the gradient moves top to bottom. So, different directions put your gradients, obviously. Let's go top to bottom here. And then we can change the blur distance, as you can see, to really customize it however you want. I mean, it's trying to give you a lot of power here to make whatever you want. And the gradients also have alpha channels, so you can kind of dim it out a little bit if you want. We'll darken it up a little bit, dim out the bottom. Alright, cool. So, moving now. Duplicate this again. As you can see, this layer is higher, so good conflict to figure out. I need to bring this up. How do I do this? Lots of ways, right? You can bring forward using the key, mouse, or interact with your layer panel directly, click it, and drag it, and rename it. Obviously, this is going to be like the orange team gradient background. And change our colors. So we want this one to go to orange. Pick an orange. Bam. Get an orange here. Cool. And again, micro alignments with keys to line you up there. So we're starting to look good here. And this should extend. We need space for the clock, right? So this will be left adjusted here. It should feel like it clicks into place. The whole thing's in a grid, kind of moves everything pretty tight. So you should feel pretty good about being able to get things aligned. All right. There are options for alignment too. Like if I want this gradient to be centered within the box behind it, I can click both elements with Shift key, and then right click, and I can center vertically, okay, or center horizontally. You can do that with all multi-select elements. For this, we know we want it at the bottom and right edge. Cool. Okay, so let's add some dynamic elements here. We need a team name. I've already showed you how to add other dynamic, like the series title, but this time we want to put in the blue team, and we want to pick their name, and we want to add that element. Now we have blue wave in here. We can drop this in here. Again, because team names will change in size, we want the team name to be able to take up this full space here. But we set it to dynamic, and then we send it to centered, and now we have it. And if we want, we can add some nice little styling to this. You can enable a little drop shadow. However you want to do this. I'm not going to get too in depth in here because this is really up to the designers and the people who want to customize however they want, but the tools are there to make this feel and look however you want. So there's blue wave. Now I could keep, like I said, you have the option to go back into this menu here and change this to orange team name. Since I already have a style that I like and an element, I use duplicate a lot, right? We're making matching elements on both sides. The size is going to be the same, except now in the panel on the right, I'm going to change this from blue team name to orange team name. Okay, and you can see that obviously this is too big for that. So, you know, for some team names you'll have to customize a little bit, right? But we can just drop the font size and it'll fit to there. Alright, next, let's add the clock in. Before we add the clock, just one thing I want to show you is you can make background like images. So if I want to add a shape for the clock area, I'm going to put in a custom shape here. I'm going to close this down to fit, bring this up, and you know, maybe it'll add a little carbon fiber. So I'm going to change this background to an image. I'm going to upload the image, pick this, and boom, now I have like a nice textured background, right? Make really, like, again, customize it however you want. The background, and let's add the clock in real quick. right, this is under game clock. Add the element. Cool. Space it can take up. Center. And then whatever font you want, right? Like, doesn't matter. That's up to you. And we'll do the same with scores as we drop those in. Blue team score. Add it. Center. Duplicate. Oh, duplicate. And just make sure that you switch this from blue team to orange team. Boom. Now you have this. Couple more things here. We have a logo on the side. This box has an angled corner, right? I told you before you can do different corners. So we're going to add a shape. And here before, we're going to make this an angle corner. And we know it's the bottom left corner for this one. So let's just cut this out, nice. And do some resizing. Just a little box. Cool. Move it over. It's close enough for now. And then prepare ourselves, duplicate it, and just change the corner. You can highlight this, remove it, and change it to the bottom right. And now we have an opposite piece to just throw in there. Put this in, and let's add some logos. What you do is when you're setting up the teams and brandings over here, you'll have logos for the match. Blue Wave, Death Cloud Esports, whatever. You'll have logos for the match. So you can just use the dynamic elements for here. Blue team logo, add it. Have this here. Resize. And duplicate over here. Change this to the orange team logo. Bam, we're there. I'm not going to go into like making this pixel perfect. I just want to give you the general idea how to do it. Okay, we have series markers finally, and we'll wrap up with this. On here, you have the ability to add series information, series win bar. So I'm going to show you how that works. Here's the series win bar, and this win bar will take up the space and it moves right to left. So we want this bar style to be justified to the right. Again, duplicate. You get the idea at this point. But make it to the left, and this is orange team. Cool. And the text in between also comes from here. You have data text, is that what it is? I can't remember. Let's see. Series title. Oh, here it is. It's under series. I apologize. Series. Best of current game. So game, add that element. We have game 3. Resize that down. This is going to be much smaller, plus we probably should have more size. But game 3, and then I also need, out of how many, one last thing to show you here is, since we have 2 different elements, but we want the same size here, instead of trying to like go and match it, you can click that element, right click it, and copy the style. Click this element, right click it, and paste the style, and you have matching styles, easy to configure. Lots of little nice UI saves like that. And essentially, you know, you as a designer, you're going to want to go in and do more details and make this prettier, but we've just created a very similar RLCS scoreboard with dynamic elements that'll work for any team name, any series, and once you go back into your studio, you'll have all these different versions that we've made. But Oh, first of all, let's get rid of this image. Last thing to do here. So we have this sample image up top, right? It's locked, so we couldn't do anything with it. So we'll right click it now. We're going to delete it. And lastly, you see what I did there, but this is our canvas size. We want the canvas to tightly match what the elements are inside. So we have a button up here, auto crop. That'll give you exactly what's used there. And you can bring that to the studio now. We will hide some of these other scoreboards. I can take this and I can move our new scoreboard that we made right into place, and we're done. Thank you all for watching. This is the first of many series of Rocket League Broadcast Studio usage and tutorials. I hope you like it. I'll get better with this over time, but I appreciate it and have a great day.